Today is December 3rd,
All day,
1985. Yep.
all day if it don't rain.
And this is Joe Todd, an interview with Mr. John Leonard Crowson in Comanche, Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Sir, where were you born?
Sheridan, Arkansas,
And when's your birthday?
December 23rd.
I'm sorry?
December the 23rd,
December the 23rd. What year?
1893.
1893. Who is your father?
Isaac H. Crowson.
And your mother?
Sarah Virginia Crowson. She was a herald.
She was
H-A-R-E-L-L, herald.
Harold. What kind of work did your father do?
Carpenter.
He's a carpenter. And how long did you live in Arkansas?
I believe we left there 1909, I believe.
1909.
I moved to Soper, Oklahoma.
Where did you start the school?
I wasn't.
Where did you start the school?
I had Patchville, Arkansas.
Was it how big was the school?
Well, it was the 8th grade. There was 2 rooms, I believe.
2 rooms?
No, I guess it was 3 rooms.
How big was the town of Sheridan?
What's the county seat? I guess it's about probably 2,000 or 3,000.
2,000 or 3,000? What part of Arkansas is that located?
It's in Grant County. It's about 40 miles west of Little Rock.
Okay, I know where that is. Do you have any memories of the Spanish-American War?
Nothing.
Okay.
Nothing.
What about the soldiers that went down to chase Pancho Villa, 1915, 1916?
Big one?
You know, the soldiers that went to chase Pancho Villa, did any from Arkansas go down?
Not that I know of.
Yeah, okay. As a small boy, what chores you do around the house, around the farm?
Everything had to be done. We lived on a farm, picked cotton, hoed cotton, plowed, cut wood, and everything had to be done.
How many acres could you plow in one day?
Probably a couple of acres. Horseman sing a plow, you know.
Did you plow with horses or mules?
Horses.
Horses? What kind of plow did you have?
Well, we had a turning plow, and one for Georgia stock, and a side harrow.
How many pounds of cotton could you pick in one day?
About 200 pounds.
200 pounds? Is that a good day?
It was a good day for us. I held the sense and I picked more than at that time. I picked about 200
Where was the gin located?
in Prattsville, Arkansas.
Who ran the gin?
I don't remember. Miller, I believe.
Miller? Why did your folks decide to come to Oklahoma?
Well, in 1908, my father died. And left my mother and 10 kids, believe it or not. And we had a very poor farm down there, and a bunch of kids, and she had a brother that lived in Soper, Arkansas. Soper, Oklahoma.
Where?
Soper, that's down there close to Hugo.
Okay.
West of Hugo, 10 miles. And he suggested we come out there and maybe he could help us a little. At least we'd have a better place to make a living. So we moved to Soper. And my 2 oldest brothers took a wagon and team and some feed and so on, and drove through. The rest of it come by train.
How long had it taken the train to get to Oklahoma?
We had to stay all night to Hope, Arkansas. I guess about 2 days.
2 days? Mm-hmm. How big was the farm you settled on in Oklahoma?
I believe it was 60 acres.
60 acres?
Yeah.
Did you have to break out the land?
No, it was already tillable.
It's already broken out.
Already tillable.
Mm-hmm.
We rented for fellas. I chucked over him the name of Dokes.
Dokes?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
No, it wasn't Dokes. Crow, I believe Crow.
What was the name?
Crow.
Crowd?
Yeah.
What kind of man is he?
But a big, heavy-set, chucked over in it. Was a very nice guy. On all ran around like with me.
Did you ever know any of the old Choctaws that came over the Trail of Tears?
I come over there.
Over the Trail of Tears from Mississippi?
Well, I think he did. I think he and some of his family did.
You ever talk about that?
Yeah.
What did he say about it?
Oh, he didn't, as I remember, he didn't talk much about it. He just told us that they made the trip and a lot of them died on the trip and so on, and it was rough on them.
Ever hear of a Choctaw named R.M. Jones? His last name was Jones. He lived down around Hugo.
Well, we had some named Davenport, but I don't remember any Jones. And in a number of Choctaws down there, even down there.
How long did you live on that farm?
We lived there 1 year, and then next year we moved east of the Soper to the name of Ferguson, which was a better farm, a better house and so on. All the time down there, we only lived in one place 1 year and then moved to another place. So we're 1914 we bought a place south of Soper.
How big was that place?
60 acres.
60 acres?
Yeah.
Why did you decide to join the Army?
They said decided for me.
Oh, you drafted?
Yeah, I registered the 5th day of June 1917, and it was called the 19th of September
1917?
1917.
Where'd you go to basic training?
I went to Camp Travis, Texas. That's down there close to San Antonio.
Mm-hmm. Tell me about basic. What was your average day like in basic? What was your average day in basic? Tell me what your average day in basic was like. What time you got up at Reveille?
Got up and at 6 o'clock. Got up and had a roll call, and had breakfast, and went out there on the drill field and drilled a lot till we got some foot drill, you know. And then we got the guns and horses. We had Prince 75, those 3-inch guns. And then we drilled with them till noon, and then at noon at 12 o'clock, rested till 1, and went back out on the field drilling. And then drilled till 4 o'clock, and then went and had supper. After that, we had free time. Had to go to bed at 9 o'clock. I left out at 9 o'clock.
How long did basic last? How long was basic?
Was the basic?
Yeah.
How long was I down there?
Yeah.
Let's see, we left there and sometime in June 1918.
1918. What unit were you with?
343rd Field Artillery.
In what division?
90th Division.
90th?
90th Division. Where the colonel was Perroy. The general was W.T. Allen. His brother-in-law was a general person.
When you left San Antonio, where'd you go?
Went to New York, close to Hoboken, and stayed there 4 or 5 days. And got on the boat, went to Canada. No, that up there, I can't remember the name again. Anyway, we went to Canada and stayed there till the 4th of July, but we had to stay on the boat. And the convoy assembled. We pulled out of the 4th day of July convoy. I think it's about 19 ships and 2 destroyers and some subchurches.
Did you travel by train to New York?
Yeah.
Anything happen on the train trip?
Nothing, just ordinary trip.
What kind of train cars did you travel in?
We went in passenger train.
Passenger train?
Yeah, passenger
Where'd you
train.
sleep on the train?
They had arranged some bunks, and they had some bunks to sleep on.
Did you come up through Oklahoma, going to
No,
New York?
we went out on the southern route down through Louisiana, Kentucky, and up through there.
Did the people greet you when you stopped at different towns?
Yes, sir, and they treated me very nice. I can remember in Kentucky, we stopped there quite some time, and people give us all kind of gifts and food and drinks and so on. Paducah, Kentucky.
How long did it take to get to Hoboken? How long did it take to get to Hoboken?
Well, it was 2 days and nights, I believe.
2 days and nights?
Because we went way around. Anyway, we convoy assembled somebody there in Canada. It took us 19 days to go across.
19 days? Anything happened on the trip over?
Yeah.
What?
A submarine attack. And we was on the English freighter. We had to man our own guns. We didn't know artillery. We had to man our own guns. And we dropped a lot of depth charges for the submarine. And it was reported that we hit it, but just a report that we not had no way of knowing.
Yeah.
So it took us 19 days to go across.
Where'd you land?
Had, I think I got all that written down up there. In England, Southampton, England. And went to rest camps in England 4 or 5 days. We'd stay in the camp at day and travel at night. 4 or 5 days, and then we took a train, ship out of England, went to France.
Where'd you land in France?
And got that over now
Yeah.
too. Let's see,
Was it Le Havre or Brest?
Le Havre,
Le
Le
Havre.
Havre, France. And we took a ship to Le Havre, and then went from there to different places in France, and finally wound up training at Bordeaux, France. From there, we went up to the lines, up around Metz.
Tell me about some things that happened to you in France. What'd you do?
Long story. I've got it in the book up there.
Mm-hmm.
Well, anyway, we didn't have no, after we left Hoboken, we just slept wherever you could.
Mm-hmm.
And we, while we did at Bordeaux, we had a lot of German prisoners. We got these German prisoners. And while we were there, they had to clean out a canal down there. We supervised that. And we also dug a lot of gun pits and a lot of gun training and so on.
What does the inside of a trench look like?
Inside of a trench?
Yeah.
Yeah, so on. A lot of deep trenches, dug about 4 feet wide, deep as a man's head, a deep one, and it's zigzag, one go that way and that way and that way. The reason of that is that people could get in there and shoot from across if they do it crooked, you know, and mow everybody down, so they're zigzag. So he couldn't do that. And the gun pits dug them down and camouflaged them. Put the
What's a gun pit?
One place you put your guns.
What kind of guns you have?
French 75.
French 75s.
That's a 3-inch gun. Supposed to have been the best gun they had at that time.
Mm-hmm. What about sanitation in those trenches? What'd you do?
Wasn't any.
Wasn't any.
Wasn't any.
Mm-hmm. What about when it rained?
Rain.
Yeah.
And it did rain. It rained most of the time. Oh, sometimes it wouldn't get about that deep in the
What,
trenches.
2 or 3 feet deep?
2 or 3 feet deep. I remember the first time we saw trenches in France was before we got engaged. We went to a camp and a tent camp. And when we got there, they had trenches all around, all everywhere. And they took us up lines up the little trenches, and now in case of an air attack, that's where you go. Some guy said, heck, said, no, it ain't full of water. He says, oh, goodness. He says, you won't mind the water if the Germans come over. Because you'll be glad to get in there.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Were you ever attacked from the air? Were you ever attacked from the air by the German airplanes?
yeah. That's why we saw our first dog fight in there was that camp, I guess. That's the first time.
Where was that?
They're close to, around, close to Verdun. I don't know just, can't remember what town it was right now. Like I said, I've got it in the book up there.
What about gas attacks?
Well, we didn't have any, but that one thing we always slept with. 2 things you had to have with you all the time. With a sidearm, that was your pistol. We had the automatic 45s. The 2 things you slept with, your gas mask and your sidearm.
Mm-hmm.
Everywhere you went, that's something you didn't do without. You might do without everything else, but that's the 2 things you had to have with you all the time.
What about your food in the trenches? What kind of food did you have?
We had dry ration mostly when we was up there, because when we go back to the rest camp, we'd have them pretty good eat. They'd have mess hall and so on, but we didn't have very many of those. And then after the war, we were close to mess when the Armistice was signed. And then we had to, we were in the 3rd Army, so we had to go to Germany, Army of Occupation.
How did you move the guns around, the French 75s?
We had 4 horses to each one of them, and then 4 to the caisson. That's the vehicle that pulled the ammunition, caisson. So we had 4 horses, each one of them. And we didn't have mules, we had horses.
Were you in St. Mihiel or the Meuse Argonne?
No, I wasn't. I was close to it, but I wasn't there. that close to it, but it's not.
Yeah.
We wasn't there.
What were your main duties with the artillery? What'd you do?
Main duties artillery? Well, you had the horse driver, you had the gunner, had 4 men on the gun. One of them aiming, one of them loader, and 2 of them do set the ammunition. You know, the ammunition got to be, it had a timer on it. You could burst it in there or burst it doing it when they hit. You set it wherever you wanted to burst, and that's what I do in there. We got rather efficient with the guns. We could shoot them pretty fast.
What did you do on Armistice Day?
Well, we're on Orville, France. That's right behind Verdun. Orville, France.
What'd you do that day? What'd you do that day?
What we do today? We shouted mostly. Mostly shouted.
How close were you to the German lines when the armistice was signed?
Oh, I met him with about 2 or 3 miles out. 2 or 3 miles. See, the artillery don't have to go up too close.
Did the Germans celebrate too?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, they sure did.
How long that celebration last?
All day and all night. All day and all night. Believe it or not, though, people didn't shout as much as a lot of people might think you do. But it didn't strike us as hard as it did a lot of other people. Then after that, we had to go took about 19 days to go from there in the jungle. We went to Berlin, Germany. They close to go Cologne, whatever you want to call it.
Get that map? Yes.
And we stayed there till 19th of June, 1919.
So you in the Army of Occupation?
Yeah.
What were your main duties as in the Occupation Army?
Oh, just the regular duties to get up and have breakfast and drill a while, and then not much of anything.
What was the reaction of the German people to the Americans?
Oh, they loved them. They seemed we was built in their houses. Then 1 or 2 guys in different houses. We didn't have them built of our own. We built in their houses, and they took care of us very nicely. Treated us nicely. Very nicely.
What about the German soldiers?
Well, the one in the house I stayed in had a German soldier. A man was a German soldier. He was very nice to us, treated us very nicely. They thought it was all right. In fact, but I think they're glad to get rid of the cars then. It seemed to be.
When did you come back to the States?
June 1919.
1919. Did you come back to New York, to Hoboken?
Yeah, we come back to New York, and then come back to Camp Pike, Arkansas.
How many days did it take to cross the Atlantic coming back?
7.
7.
No, 9. 9. Not 7, 9.
What were your thoughts when you passed the Statue of Liberty?
We didn't pay much mind.
You didn't?
No, we didn't pay much mind. We had quite a welcome when we come home at New York. They really rolled up the flag and had a parade and everything. Well, I guess we was the first and probably the only ones that came back carrying our sidearms. That's quite a welcome. Then we come back to Camp Pike, Arkansas, and this might not be of interest to you, but
Yeah.
anyway, my brother was a captain in the army, a chaplain. And of course, I didn't know he was down there, but anyway, when The next day as we got down there, well, the first sergeant come in, told me, said, the guy out there wants to see you. And I went out there and my brother. So he took me out for dinner that night, Little Rock, Arkansas.
When did you get back to Oklahoma?
Well, in the meantime, while I was in on my father, my mother had married, and my stepfather and my mother had moved to the Derrick, Arkansas, that's close to the Queen. So I went back there, and then worked there in the sawmills a while, and then come back to Dulce, Oklahoma. I sat down and stayed there a while.
Did you go back to farming when you came back home?
No, I stayed down there a while, worked around the oil fields a while, then went to got a job at Chicago, Illinois, then National Arts people. So I went up there and worked for 30 years.
In the oil fields, did you work on the standard rig or rotary rig?
Most of the standard is the drop kind.
How does that standard rig work?
Well, it moved like these pumps you see now had a thing and pull it up and down and drop down in places. Turn around, they drop and beat it out.
1920s and 30s. Oh, you do it. 1920s and 30s. The Depression.
Well, I worked part of the time I didn't. Like I said, in Northfield in 1929, I went to Chicago, Illinois. I got a job with the National people. Worked there for 30 years or more. So I moved back down here when I retired.
Yeah. Okay. How did the Depression affect you and your family?
Like everybody.
Everything about going to California?
Yeah, but I never did go. I had two brothers out there. They wanted me to go out there, but I didn't think I wanted to, and I didn't.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I've been out there a lot of time, but I didn't ever live out there.
What did you do during World War II?
I worked for the International Harvester people, and we made these big torpedoes.
Where's that plant?
Where was it?
Yeah.
Chicago, Illinois.
Chicago.
We made this lot of torpedoes for them and tanks.
Mm-hmm. When did you move back to Oklahoma?
1958, I believe.
From Chicago?
Yeah, I retired.
Mm-hmm.
And moved down here where I am now,
Yeah.
up in Belmont.
Mm-hmm.
Had a boy and a girl.
When did you get married?
1942.
42.
1942.
Were either of your grandfathers in the Civil War?
Yeah. My grandfather Harold, I don't know anything about my grandfather Crowson. My grandfather Harold was in the Civil War.
Which side?
The South.
South?
Yeah, he was a captain.
Ever hear any stories about him?
No, I didn't. I didn't see much of it. But he was he visited with us a few times. He was a very tall guy and heavy set.
Mm-hmm.
And had a beard. He grew the beard about that long.
About a foot long? Huh.
Yeah.
Tell me, as a small boy, what games you played in school?
Marbles,
Marbles?
and baseball.
Mm-hmm.
Marbles mostly.
How'd you all celebrate Christmas in the early days?
When I was little,
Yeah.
we usually went out and cut this holly tree. You know what a holly tree is, don't you? It's an evergreen. And usually had a roast turkey, a roast chicken, something. And we never did have any money. And of course, father and mother do the best they could. They usually have an apple, an orange, a few firecrackers, and some candies in their stockings. And have a Christmas dinner, and that's the only celebration we had.
Mm-hmm. Anything else about the war you want to talk about?
I'll give you a book. I'll
Yeah.
give you up there.
We'll go up and look at it.
Huh?
We'll go up and look at it.
I'll give you all this stuff
Yeah.
in the book up there.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of you might not be interested in, but it's all there.
Oh, yeah. Well,
I was on guard duty at the stables, and we had orders. I guess older and then kind of on that anybody that approaches you have them do. If they approach the horseback, well, you have them do dismount and be recognized. And we were going to party. The big, heavy-set, bearded man, he come right out on duty at the stable one night, and he come riding across the lot. I said, who comes there? He said, the colonel. Will dismount and be recognized? No, I'm a colonel. I don't have to dismount. I said, dismount and be recognized. He said, don't have to. I said, oh, yes, you do. It's your orders. And he got down and come up and said, hey, he said, I'm not supposed to dismount. I said, oh, yes, you are. Your orders. So the guys kissed me in the barracks after I found out that the only prophet I ever knew that could give orders to the colonel. And he said, what would you done if they hadn't dismounted? I said, I had to shoot him. That was my orders, to shoot him.
so what'd the colonel say?
He said, well, I said, that's pretty good. I said, that's good. I said, be real good in Europe. But the first guy that ever made me dismount. But he said, that was my orders. He said, I didn't want to, but it was my orders.
Okay, sir, thank you.